Each of you comes with the realization of what can be known, when you incarnate. When you incarnate, each of you are aware. Each of you are aware of your innate potential, to realize the true self, to realize the true self. Most of you finish. Most of you finish with this possibility, at a young age. At a young age, you are taught not to believe in possibility. You are taught not to believe in possibility. You are taught to trust. You are taught to trust only what your eyes and ears, only what your eyes and ears can see and hear. And here you are taught to trust in the known. You are taught to trust in the known, the predictable, and you are encouraged in all ways. And you are encouraged in all ways to refute any possibility. To refute any possibility does not adhere to the group or collective assessment of what truth is, truth when we teach it. Truth, when we teach it, is always true in eternal truth, we say. And eternal truth, we say, is always true in this century or any other. In this century or any other, as you align to what truth what you are, as you align to the truth of what you are, you align to what is always true. You align to what is always true, and in doing so, by this agreement, you align to always. You align to always eternal truth. Eternal truth as a way of comprehending, your reality. This does not mean that you don't recognize the old, that you don't recognize the old, you don't see what was made by man, that you don't see what was made by man, called by a name, and called by a name. You have a body still. You have a body still. You are operating on this plane with others. You are operating on this plane with others. You must know how to navigate a reality. You must know how to navigate a reality that is shared by many, but as you ascend in consciousness, you acclimate to the higher vibration. As you acclimate to the higher vibration, you even realize the known. You even realize the known, or the inherited structures, in the higher octaves. What this means is, the reality is that reality, as you've entrusted it to be, becomes malleable in the face of truth. In the face of truth, what you thought was beauty, may be comprehended as collective agreement to beauty, What you thought was humor, may be understood as collective agreement to a concept. That doesn't mean you don't appreciate beauty. That doesn't mean you don't appreciate beauty in all of its forms, but it does mean your assessment of what you see. Your assessment of what you see is informed by truth, and not collective wisdom, and not collective wisdom or inherited wisdom that you have thought to be true, You may laugh at any joke you like. You have great humor in the higher realms. But you no longer laugh. But you no longer laugh at the cost of another's suffering. In fact, what you do is hope to abate the suffering, by the realization of who that being truly is, every encounter you have. Every encounter you have of any merit is an encounter with God, is an encounter with God. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Because God is in all things. Because God is in all things, of all things. The expression of it may be seen in all things, as you align to the true self, and as you align to the true self and to the eternal truth that comes in, and to the eternal truth that accompanies it, you begin to witness the divine. You begin to witness the divine that is already manifest, in form all around you. all around you. What this means for the individual, what this means for the individual is that you stop being aligned, is that you stop being aligned to the collective agreements that were born in fear, And it's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. You stop being frightened of your brother. You stop being frightened of your brother because you know who your brother is, because you know who your brother is. You stop being frightened of love. You stop being frightened of love because you understand love, as God, informing all things. You stop being angry. You stop being angry at a world that doesn't give you what you should have, at a world that doesn't give you what you think you should have, because you realize the world, as what you have claimed, as what you have claimed, in a collective agreement as each individual. And as each individual lifts beyond the collective to inherit the kingdom, to call it into manifestation, you call the world. You call the world with you to the higher octave you have now aligned to. This is a new gesture. Paul is saying, what does this mean? Paul is saying, what does this mean? This is expression. This is expression. This is the gesture for expression. This is the gesture for expression as the true self, When we do this for you, we're actually emblemizing vibration. We are actually emblemizing it in vibration. The heart is open, yes. The heart is open, yes, but to include all things, to embrace all things, Nothing is excluded from this gesture. Nothing is excluded from this gesture of the expression of the true self. Now, if you do this as yourself, your arms will grow tired. Your arms will grow tired very quickly. But as you do this as the true self, and you call it into being, through your alignment to it, you will find it effortless. You will find it effortless to maintain this as a practice that may be undertaken, to support you in the simple agreement, to your own divine expression, as inclusive of all things. You're always inheriting. You are always inheriting a landscape that you are participatory to every day. Every day when you leave your home, and you see the block you live on, you are in expression. You are in expression and calling things to you, by way of agreement, or vibrational accord, as the true self emerges. As the true self emerges and begins to decide with you, and begins to decide with you what things mean, you no longer agree to things. You no longer agree to things as they were. You align to what they are. And the true self as you. And the true self as you in its expression, begins to claim the landscape that she sees in higher accord. Now the gesture we gave through Paul is not only symbolic, it operates in resonance. It operates in resonance as a mudra does, or a gesture that encodes, vibration through its expression, If you understand that the divine as you is the symbol here, and the expression of it is the gesture, you can understand the benefit to it. You can understand the benefit to it as it is worked with, as it is agreed to, it actually supports the acclamation of the true self, of the true self to the world he sees, which is what we said prior when we spoke of you ascending the mountain, and perceiving from each vantage point, and perceiving from each vantage point, from a new perspective, in order to hold it, in order to hold it, the acclamation to the true self in your environment. In your environment is the product of I know what of, is the product of I know what I am, as you know what you are. As you know what you are, you must know what all things are as well. You must know what all things are as well. We pass the light. And what you would put outside the light, you will comprehend. You will comprehend as your teacher, until you can lift it. And until you can lift it, including God, and include it in God, as of God, and its expression, you'll be operating in fear. You will be operating in fear, as we said. The action of fear is come fear. The action of fear is to claim more fear, but the fear itself is simply an idea, that has been appropriated, aligned to, and given currency, the vibration of fear itself. The vibration of fear itself has no meaning, in the higher octave, because fear cannot exist here. Underline the word cannot. It's not that it's excluded. It's not that it's excluded. It simply doesn't exist. It simply doesn't exist at the top of the mountain with you. So every time you find yourself here. So every time you find yourself in fear, you are seeing where you stand. You are seeing where you stand and what needs to be lifted and what needs to be lifted or seen anew. The perceiver you see. The perceiver you see, the true self as you. The true self as you has eyes to see and can lift anything she sees to truth, through the claims we have offered you, to witness truth. To witness truth is to witness what is always true, is to witness what is always true. I see that it's a black dog. I see that is a black dog, claims the dog as a color, and perhaps on this day, the dog's hair is black. The dog's hair is black. You may call it a black dog. You may call it a black dog for convenience. It is always true. It is always true that at the moment you perceive the dog, you experience the dog as black. You experience the dog as black. It is not true. It is not always true. The dog is black, that the dog is back black, or was always black, black. The immediacy of that claim as a true claim can be comprehended now. Will it always be a dog? No. Will it always be a dog? No. It may be in a pot of stew one day. It may be in a pot of stew one day. It may be walking a neighbor one day. It may be barking at a neighbor one day. It may be buried in the ground. It may be buried in the ground, or turned to ash. What you know as a dog, in this moment, will one day be another form, will one day be in another form. So to realize the eternal something, to realize the eternal something in what you must mean that you identify it. So what is the revelation of the divine may be seen in all things, that may be seen in all things. The young man you see before you, was not always this man, was not always the teachings for much longer than he knows, or could agree to, as the small self, but his agreement to serve, in the form he has taken, is allowing us to continue teaching a message, that we've been bringing forth, that we have been bringing forth through many ways, through many years, and many systems that call themselves themselves religious or esoteric, or even mythological, or even mythological. These are not new teachings. These are not new teachings, nor are we new teachers, nor are we new teachers, but the ability to bring truth. But the ability to bring truth, that which has always been true, that which has always been true and will always be true, and will always be true, is our mission with you, is our mission with you. The young man has not always been the young man. The young man has not always been the often been a young woman. At times he was not informed. At times he was not informed, or as a body, as he would comprehend a body, as he would comprehend a body. We'll assure you each, and we will assure you each, the same is true for each of you, the same true for each of you, but the eternal truth. But the eternal truth, that is what makes you so, that is what makes you so, has never not been present, has never not been present. The source of all things, the source of all things is in the moment you stand in, is in the moment you stand in, and in any moment you stood in, and in any moment have stood in every moment, and in every moment that you will stand in, and again, this is the expression of the divine making itself known. Now when things take form, when there is structure to them, and they lower themselves, in a field, to become made manifest, They release the amorphous state, that they have known themselves in first, to become solid, which means to lower, the frequency to a dense form, to be held and known, that may be held and known in this collective agreement, you know of as your reality, but that does not mean that the amassed vibration that is knowing itself in density, is still not God, operating in lower form, the realization of that mass, as God, or the divine in form, is what restores it, to its true nature, an expression in expression. The divine sees the divine. The divine sees the divine, everything witnesses, in everything he witnesses, because there is nothing outside of God, because there is nothing outside of God. How could there ever be this? The transcendence of form. The transcendence of form throughout many lifetimes, has been perceived as releasing form, and I no longer have the body. When I no longer have the body, I will be in heaven. I will be in heaven. I will be with God. I will be with God. I will know myself as holy. I will know myself as holy. I assume I am. But I won't know until I'm dead. But I won't know it until I'm dead. Has left you at a precipice. To die to know God. To die to know God has created havoc. And idealizations. Such as heaven and hell, which is as they are understood on this plane. Somewhat preposterous to us. The agreement to be informed. The agreement to be informed is an agreement to grow. Is an agreement and to learn and to realize. But if God is only in heaven, and you are only here, and you are only here to survive and to meet your maker, until you can meet your maker again, you're going to have a struggle here. You are going to have a struggle here, and keep searching for God, and keep searching for a God that you cannot access, while in form. The collective we say is on the brink of great change, but the brink of great change brings many challenges. If you are asked today, If you are asked today to leave everything you've known, to leave everything you've known and follow a new way of life, and follow a new way of life, almost none of you would do it. Almost none of you would do it, and for very good reasons. And for very good reasons. You've accrued responsibilities. You've accrued responsibilities. You own property. You own property. You have bills to pay. You have bills to pay, and friends and expectation, and friends and expectation, idealizations and idealizations of what is so important, of what is so important when the collective itself. But when the collective itself is confronted with an option of change, or lose what you know, or lose what you know and have known as a collective reality. As a collective reality, the collective may well say yes. The collective may well say yes, and you're at that time, and you are at that time in many ways. In many ways, you realize the things that you've claimed in fear, that the things that you've claimed in fear may overwhelm you. You realize that how you have treated your forms, in some ways has created the opportunity for collective demise, You understand that the air that you breathe, has been soiled so badly, it may never purify itself again. It may never purify itself again. The collective itself has been hiding its head in the sand for a rather long time, when the sand begins to shake. But when the sand begins to shake, even the bird with its head in the sand, will rise and look at the sky, and say, save me, show me the way, I am willing to learn. I am willing to learn a new way. And as you all say this, you claim the potential. You claim the potential for a new world to be born, for a new world to be born, the acquiescence. The acquiescence to the true self is pivotal here, and this is an individual teaching, and this is an individual teaching for each of you. How do you agree? How do you agree? How do you acquiesce? How do you acquiesce to the God self as the truth of your being, by alignment, and agreement, as we have taught you, and also the willingness, underline the word willingness, to release the known, whatever the known may be, the pain in your soul, the pain in Paul's soul, the pain in Paul's soul may not be known to him, or to you. You have been so busy blaming the lives you live. You have been so busy blaming the lives that you live, or the circumstances of your birth, that you cannot comprehend, that that the soul sickness that you are living in, is part of the collective on this plane that is absolving itself, that is itself through the new awakening to the divine, if you didn't make it so. If you didn't make it so, but you simply agreed to it, as your state of consciousness, or being, you can agree to something new. You can agree to something new. Now, when we teach you today, we don't teach you to your pain. We don't teach to your pain. We teach your healing. We teach to your healing. We don't teach suffering. We don't teach to your suffering. We teach liberation. We teach to your liberation, and the claim, I am free, and the claim, I am free, that we will undertake with you now, may be met by you as it is meant. What are you free of? And claim these words. What are you free of when you claim words, but the collective fear, but the collective fear of aligning yourself, of aligning to the true self, without your knowledge, that without your knowledge may well be informing or challenging your way up the mountain, that be correcting you, that may be correcting you in the sake of safety, will be brought to you from what would be brought to you in a higher way, as you open your heart to it, Here again is this mudra of expression. You are claiming all things. You are claiming all things in your witness as the true self. We would ask you now, if you are willing, to encourage yourself in this gesture, with Paul, if you see his arms, they are calling things to him. They are calling things to him, as you are always doing, by claiming consciousness, by claiming in consciousness. The claim we will make with you now. I know who I am in vibration. I know who I am in vibration and form. And form will support you in the recognition of this, in the physical form, and in the field you hold, and in the field you hold when you work with your arms. When you work with your arms in this capacity, or simply you are simply mobilizing vibration through intention to call into manifestation, that which already exists, in the higher octave. I am knowing who I am. I am knowing who I am in form and field. I am recognizing who I am. I am recognizing who I am in form and field. I am acknowledging the transformation. I am acknowledging the transformation that is making itself known through me, and I give permission, in all ways, to release myself from the claims made for me, or by me in fear, throughout all incarnations, or manifestations of form, that I have known myself in and through, As I say yes to this, I move to my new expression. I move to my new expression as the one who may shepherd a new world, an embodiment. I know who I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. Say these words. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. Free, I am free, I am free. Now, yes, potential. Say yes to your potential. Yes to all that may be known. Yes to every encounter you have. Yes to every encounter you have as your teacher, and yes to the belief. And yes to the belief, the true belief and awareness of the foundation of your life. That the foundation of your life is the divine self, and all of its source. And all of its source. We agree to you at this level. We agree to you at this level, and we say thank you each. And we say thank you each for hearing our words, period.